Hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Dance of the Soul. And I am Natasha Venter, intuitive medium, personal awareness coach. And I wear a lot of hats, and Regan and I do a lot of work together, and I'm so grateful for that. We all are here to help people move forward. And so if you don't know why you're here or what's going on, I know the planets are really tossing us around a lot lately. We're going through a lot of fear, we're going through a lot of angst, we're going through a lot of emotions, we're going through a lot of things, a lot of questions. Why am I not moving forward? Why? And so we're here. So Regan is a hypnotherapist working with the Newton Institute, and he does a really good job at knowing about life because that's just part of him. And I love you, Regan, how you do this amazing job of knowing that you've gone through a lot. You've gone through anger issues. You've gone through a near-death experience. You've gone through which, was your door opening for this world, really. I mean, it was the one that cracked the egg open and got you saying, let's move you forward. And and more and more and more and more. So it's like this is just the cherry on top of your life that you're living right now, and it's so great. So I'm grateful to be here with you and doing the dance. And I know that right now we're not on Facebook because Facebook's having a problem. So I'm hoping people can come over to YouTube with us. And I did post on it, and it did let me through, I think, to post that we are here on YouTube. So
Okay.
it might take a minute. I don't even know if we're on. I know that I didn't hook up with Facebook because it didn't allow me to. So I'm hoping that people can meet us here. And please comment. This is part of our story is that we love the interactions of comments.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we can start off with talking about Facebook. Because did you see 60 Minutes last night?
No, I did not.
Okay, maybe it's a good thing to talk about in a minute. Well, first of all, I'm Regan Forsten. I'm a Life Between Life. Susan's there. Hey, Susan. Great.
Thank
Glad
you.
you made it over. And what I do with clients is I'm trained to help clients get to a deep state of trance, which practically anybody can reach. And from there, we've found a way for you to visit the afterlife for a couple hours, just like having a near-death experience without the death part.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had about 65,000 people do it so far. It's a game changer, because now with mediums becoming more and more mainstream, and what I'm doing become more and more mainstream, people are realizing that there's a conduit between here and the other side, that we're not just out in space all by ourselves, that there's actually ways that God's created to help us, to contact the other side. And by doing that, we start finding out that we're immortal souls, and we never die. We just go from one place to the other. Mm-hmm. We find out that we actually have a mission in a learning experience we're here to accomplish in this life. By what Natasha does and what I do is we try to give people a bigger picture of things so that they can see that, hey, maybe life can be joyful and happy and wonderful, even in the midst of a lot of turmoil and chaos. You start having reason, you start finding why you have this chaos.
Exactly. Well, yeah. That's why I always do the mantra when I'm going through, especially the troublesome times. I especially do this is what is this here to teach me? And it puts me in a different perspective, because then it puts me into the interaction instead of the oh hell no action, and moving forward like that. And we're all here to learn. That's the main purpose why we're here.
Yeah, like Richard Martini says, I've been using that tagline. It says, we're all here to help each other. We're all here to help each other walk home.
Yes.
And we're all, so whether you're a mom or dad and you just, for the kids, or your wife, or you're just a single person and have, coworkers and things like that, we always have to kind of look around and say, hey, what can I do to help? What do you need from me today? Maybe it's just a smile,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you need someone to listen to your issues or something, be a good listener today. I'm just noticing too here. Can you see my black eye?
I can. I usually, when somebody comes up with a black eye or a broken arm, I don't usually be one of those people that go, "Hey, what happened? What happened? What
I
happened?"
know. Well, I'll tell you.
I let it, because everybody's so tired of saying answering that question. So if you want to interlude with that,
Well,
or whatever that
I'm
word
gonna
is
say
that
I
I
could
meant to
say
say.
that when one of my clients got to the other side and they told her what she had to do, she punched me. But I'm not doing that. Because when you're on the other side, these guides or these wonderful beings on the other side to help you, they'll just tell you in a very loving way if you want to change your life, something's got to change.
Yes.
And sometimes people come back and they go, "Oh, I don't want to do that." Well, free choice. Still, you could have a messed up life and keep going through doing, or you can follow their instructions and start having a happy life. But remember a few weeks ago I had Josh that was going to work on my transmission on my car,
Yes.
and it ended up being a therapy session with him. I made him dinner and was out in the back. We were talking in the dark on the back patio for about 2 hours. His life was in total chaos, turmoil. But what a nice soul, though. I mean, nice, kind guy, gentle giant. He's like 6'3", big
Wow.
guy, 33. Anyway, my van ended up being on jacks for 2 weeks. He even came in front of my house, and the police gave him a big ticket because he's driving an old beat up motorhome that looks like it's going to fall apart any second. And this is in a pretty affluent neighborhood. So when someone saw that, they called the cops, and I had to go out and talk to the cops and say, "Hey, look, he's a client of mine and he's my mechanic." So they only gave him one ticket instead of a couple. But then he's
Oh,
vanished.
yeah, that's sad that they even gave him one, even though he was there for a
Yeah.
purpose.
Well, I wonder if his name's Josh. Uh, Without revealing anything you need his permission for, he left his tools here. He's got about $1,000 worth of tools. Been here for 2 weeks. I haven't heard from him, and I began to wonder and worry about him a little bit. And I wondered if you pick up anything of why he's kind of vanished.
He's going through some big unearthings, like you're saying,
Yep.
and he's one that it's hard for him to go backwards sometimes when he feels like he's done wrong.
Mm.
And uh and I feel like he wants to reach out to you, but he feels like he's dishonored you.
Oh yeah. Well, he has. But I know we were put together for a reason.
Mhm.
But this is the thing about how everything's connected. Now, the way I got this black eye is finally I said, okay, I've given him enough time now. I'm going to have to call a tow truck and have it taken to a place to fix it because otherwise I'm not going to have my van. So I had a tow truck take it to a place to fix it. They gave me a little bit better. I mean, it's more expensive than him,
Yeah.
at a shop, but I had to get it done. So I had to bite the bullet. So they called me and said it was done. So Patty couldn't take me. So I said, well, it's 3 miles away. I'll just I'll get on a bike and ride up there. So because it's heavy traffic and everything, I said, well, let me go over in the sidewalk over here because it's the main road. And just as I did, I went up a curb and my handlebars hit a light pole. And within 1 second, I was
Yeah.
smashed into the ground.
Yeah.
And I thought I really, for a few seconds there, I couldn't breathe. And it's funny how when something that happens, even though it's embarrassing to be yelling out that you're in pain, part of you goes, oh, come on, you can just deal with this. But you're in so much pain that it's a natural thing to yell or scream or whatever you have to do. So people came running out from a restaurant, and the first car to come, because I ended up in just out a little bit in one of the lanes of the busy
Mhm.
traffic, but I couldn't move anywhere. And the first car that came just stopped right in front of me. So everybody backed up behind her. So no
Oh,
one went over me, and
no.
she was a nurse. Um,
Oh.
so I just say, God, thank you. I mean, I get into these meetings, but there's always somebody there to watch over me. She would not leave until she got me dragged to the side of the road, uh, tried to have me feel my body, where it was going on. She called the ambulance and things like this. So then the ambulance got there, and I just got cuts up my leg, and I thought maybe I broke a rib because I
Mhm.
was having a hard time breathing. I was dizzy and nauseous. And I thought I called Patty, and I thought maybe she could just take me to the hospital. And they said, no, you don't want to take any chances because, I was bleeding. My whole
Yeah.
side of my face was blood over here.
And that's the temple area, and that's a very itchy area of
Yeah.
of the mind, the
So they
body.
took me they took me to the hospital. I was there for 7 hours. By the time they took X-rays, and the time they did an MRI, so they just said, they use glue. Now I've got this whole part of my eyebrow here is all glued where they glued it shut. And the doctor said, let's do that instead of stitches because your scar is not going to really show, and just do the glue thing. So I got this big patch of glue here that sticking out, and the black eye and my bruised ribs and arms and legs. But I was very lucky. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. And to have when an accident happens, I mean, that's what I call an accident. I didn't see it coming. Like sometimes you could have a few seconds. Oh my God, I'm gonna get hit by a truck. But I would just went around a corner and didn't know, it happened. And in 1 second, I'm on the ground.
It's one of those, right moment, wrong moment.
Yeah.
Exact moment. And then, but then in the sense of, though, you wonder, sometimes there's accidents that happen. And this is where I want people to know that there's sometimes that accidents do happen, but the universe takes care of us. Like you had the nurse come in, you had people who cared and came out and saw if you were okay. So even though there was an accident that happened, we get taken care of, and it's amazing.
Now, here's the thing now, Natasha, that was interesting. They took an MRI, or either CAT scan or MRI. I think it may be, whatever, just to make sure it didn't have any, concussion or something there.
Mm-hmm.
So afterwards they said, well, not related to this, but they found maybe an aneurysm in my brain. And they want me to come in to get an MRI for that. They said there's a vein going up from here, here, and it's got a little bubble there, it looks like. So that might have been the good news.
What a miracle. What a miracle.
Yeah. So it's like, and you always wonder, okay, if I hadn't had Josh, helped him in his need or something like that, I would have had the transmission done somewhere else. I would have a whole different set of circumstances that happen. So here, if you look at it negatively, I could be cursing him because I could be saying, hey, look, because I was trying to do a good thing for you. Now, look, I had to have my car towed. I had to pay more money. I crashed and get this happen on my way to the hospital. Why did I ever do a nice thing for him? But I think if people look in their lives that, one decision you make, it ripples it. So you have a whole other alternative reality that happens that you wouldn't have had. And it could be the simple thing, like you get up on a different side of the bed in the morning. So you're in a different place than you would have been walking where you would. I mean, it's mind boggling.
It is. I call those miracles.
Yeah.
People try to put miracle as a, something, like you had, like you coming back to life, or, these big things, but your synchronicity of everything happening, and then finding out that you might have something that you need to take care of before it takes care of you. That to me is a miracle, even though I'm so grateful that your body is healing. Yeah, you're probably still tender and stuff. And I would suggest, if you don't believe in chiropractic, I would go to a nice chiropractor, a well-known, someone who you get.
Like right now, I try to press on my back to adjust a little bit, but it's too painful with lucky I didn't have bruised ribs or anything. I mean, I had bruised ribs, just not, broken or whatever. So,
see, now that's where I go to a chiropractor that does muscle testing.
Yeah.
And they do manipulations, they don't have to do a snap, crackle, pop. They can go in and just, do tweak, get the muscles kind of saying, okay, I know I can go back in, type of thing. But my dad was a chiropractor, so I kind of know that story.
In other words, and I was realizing it's just how you choose to look at things, because because of this spiritual place that I'm in right now and been to the other side a couple times and back, I kind of realized that, for whatever reason, I was a piece of the puzzle to Josh, that somehow or another I was there for him to be a good listener, to maybe, help him figure his life out a little bit. I wasn't the end all or the thing that had all the answers, but I just knew that, our interaction was supposed to be. So then I have to figure I crashed. Okay. It's part of that. But now that they might've found something in my brain here that might be a problem later on, that's going to change the whole way that I look at life, that I do things, and probably have something to do with the decisions I make from now on compared to what they would have been if I didn't know about this.
Yes.
So, it's just funny how how everything is so intertwined, like a ball of yarn. It's just so intertwined, and to have to pull it apart and to try to make sense of everything, it's almost impossible. But you have to go with that knowing that, okay, everything is okay.
Mm-hmm.
That way.
It really is, and what I'm hearing from your body is that this is small compared to the big picture of life.
Yeah.
So your body's saying, we're grateful that you're looking at it. Don't stand in fear of it. Stand in acknowledgement of it.
Okay.
Kind of hard to do sometimes. We're all human. We kind of go into that moment. I mean, how can we not? But there's that path that we take of going into the angst, then going into, okay, now that I got my idea wrapped around it, now what can I do with it? Which is give it healing.
Yeah.
And I could tell you that the doctors are going to probably maybe put you on like maybe thinners or something, so that if it does do something but to me, or what I'm hearing is that it's small, but they wanted you to know about it.
Yeah.
They wanted you to know about it so that you can go and make educated choices for it.
Well, see, when my dad was exactly my age, he had an aneurysm in his leg. They ended up having to have it amputated, so he lost the leg at that age. And then the doctors say that it could be hereditary, what they called what he had. So my brother just had got tested recently. He's got a little aneurysm, another place in his body they're keeping an eye on. And it's funny. It's funny because I thought, I'm fine, but maybe I'll have it checked out someday. It said, boom. So, maybe because I'm stubborn. So
Yeah.
People listening, I wonder, like Susan, she's watching, think about things in your life that, seemed to be kind of tragic, but you think what kind of led up to it. And then you kind of start seeing the reason that you had to go through that tragedy. Like, how did it change your life? How did it give you a different outlook on life? Because we have a choice. We can either curse and look at everything with the glass half empty, right? And say, oh, this horrible thing happened to me. Or we can look for the lesson in it. Or we can look for, like, okay, I had a crash. I'm going through a lot of pain, everything now. But it might have been something that saved my life or gave me a chance to live my life a little bit better because I found something else unrelated to the crash because of the crash,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is that perception, that's been one of my favorite words lately. Perception. Because like for me, even me losing something, like let's say if I've misplaced, let's say, just something. Yes, I know I've lost my glasses a lot lately, but that was kind of different because I knew the fairies had taken them, so I knew they were cloaked. But sometimes there's the like the remote, television remote, let's say, and I know that I heard it drop, and I look down here and I can't see it. But then if I get up and go look behind my husband's chair, oh, that's where it is. It's like change the perception, you change your life. And, like I was walking out of a classroom the other day, and we have in our school some challenging students. They're in life skills, and they're also in another classroom. So they don't have all the skills. And so sometimes our doors, they say all doors inside the school need to be, shut, just so that these kids who don't have all the tools don't go running into a classroom and just saying, oh, here's something to play with. And, so we say all doors shut inside the school shut. Well, I had to leave a classroom, and the teacher was like, what are you going to do? It sounds like there's a lot of ruckus going on out there. And I went, I'll just go out and see what's happening. So I cautiously opened up the door because you don't know if the student's right behind the door, but I opened it cautiously. And then I saw that the rattling of paper was somebody ripping paper off the roll in the hallway. And so the teacher was worried. Honestly, she should be, and I went back in, oh, somebody was just taking paper off the roll. It's all about perception, and I don't go into that stress of worry. I still go into the opening the door safely, go to the middle of the road. And it's amazing how perception is huge right now. So Sue typed in, I've seen blessings in many painful bad experiences.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, it's like for me, I was married for 3 years before my husband now, and moved 7 times in 3 years. He had a drug problem. I didn't, but I had a marriage problem. Perspective. What did those years teach me? They taught me that I didn't have to be the victim of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a really, someone I had a relationship with, a really close relationship. And then when I moved on from that and we just stayed friends, and then she got another relationship because it's funny, I felt partially responsible because I kept saying, no, you got to get out there and date and whatever. She was on the first date and she ends up marrying this guy, and but anyway, now it's caused her to go to codependent classes. She's starting to learn to stand up to his snarkiness and to not be a doormat,
Mhm.
So, when I was talking to her the other day, I said, well, look, God's got you in this for a reason, and it looks like you're making really good headway and learning how to deal with with being in a relationship. So that's good.
Yeah,
Um,
we're in this midst, like right now, I know that the planets are really tossing us around. We're in Mercury retrograde. A lot of other planets are in retrograde, coming out of retrograde. So we're kind of getting into that toss and turn, and a lot of the planets are in kind of confliction with each other. And so that's stirring up a lot of fear, angst, worry, emotions, and but all that, if we really look at it, like for me, I had a trigger the other night that it was a trigger of somebody walking away from me. And in my life, I've had more people leave my life than have be in my life. It feels like,
yeah,
if that makes sense, that that there's always this scenario where people move away, or just something, I lose track of people.
yeah,
And with that I hold people dear with me that I've had in my life, and this person's been in my life for almost 40 years. And we had a phone call, and because of some choices I'm making, she decided not to be around me anymore. It triggered me. I'm human. It triggered me because it triggered a lot of my other times of being bullied and shunned and all those other times. And I really had to take that moment and be in it. While I was talking, I felt myself analyzing myself and going, you can't be doing a lot of this pushy stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I just kind of it took me stepping back for a minute. Luckily my husband heard, and we talked about it a little bit, and I sent her a text. I should have called her, but yet at the time the text felt right. After our phone call, that a text felt the next step down from where we were at. And those words were written, I really cared for how I wrote them, my intention, and apologized, because I didn't need to be pushy, but yet how did I learn that I was pushy unless I went through it?
yeah,
So it's that kind of catch 22. And to this day, you know but she said that in the perspective that I had, that she was going to say to look at it, and then I'm looking at what she was saying and learning from it and saying, there's perspective that you had, right? And so there's this dance of different things, and we're all going through this right now. And like you were saying on you answer some of the emails through the Newton
Cora.
Instant, yeah, through Cora. And you were saying that a lot of people are wondering about the twin flame, a lot of those personal walks and dances that
Yeah,
we go through. And it's interesting how we manage a lot of those life altering questions, like the twin soul, the twin
yeah,
flame, or our soul, do I have a soulmate? It's like all those kinds of questions.
yeah. To me, the twin flame theory, the soulmate theory, um, all of that is our way of trying to explain why we have certain people in our lives that are so important in our lives. I mean,
Mhm.
people that we seem to not be able to live without, or It could be a loving thing or a love-hate relationship, as they kind of say, a relationship with the turmoil that people keep going back to and everything. And I think this, when they talk about soulmates or twin flames, it's people's way of trying to explain that these souls or people that in our life are main players in our life. There are, there are people that that we feel that we were destined to meet. But in the research that we've done now, with these 65,000 people going to the afterlife and back, it seems like there's a more simple explanation to me that explains all these things, and it's more of a direct answer than a theory or something. And that's that we all have a soul group. And my clients, when they go under, they visit the soul group. It's like an acting troupe of souls that you regularly incarnate with. They're the souls that you've had many incarnations with in different forms, and you're close to, because and some of them you're closer than others. Some of them are, your preference. And before you come down here, that certain people are going to show up in your play because everybody's got their part. And there's going to be certain times when they show up, and they're going to be the people that you really feel a connection with. There are people that end up being the main players in your life's play. So I think it's maybe a little more simple than, like if somebody wants to find out why they have such a huge connection to that person, Natasha, you would be able to go, oh, well, let me tell you why.
Exactly.
And be able to pick up the different lifetimes they've had together, and would just be simple. And then you'd have an explanation, because there's so much drama trying to figure it all out and that. So, or to have a life between life session with one of the facilitators, me or someone else from the Institute, because these can be done worldwide, even over Zoom or Skype. These sessions can be done. You can visit the other side and actually speak to that person who's alive in your life now, because part of ourselves is always in heaven. So,
Yes.
for instance, like Natasha, you and I, if I was on the other side, I could have a talk with you, or you could have a talk with me, from ourselves that are have more of the bigger picture than we do here.
Exactly. Well, even for me, like there's times when I don't get permission. So I go to the person's higher self and ask permission. Yeah. Like for me, like I'm just going to call my husband out here because he's a safe place to go. That there's been times when he doesn't give permission. He's my husband. He doesn't have to give permission. And yet I know that he's got an entity with him, especially when he was drinking. He didn't really trust me in this fashion. So I would go to his higher self, ask, can you give me insight on this? And then that part of his soul gave me permission. And then I asked through that soul, that higher self, to do the work for relieving that tension or doing the work of that entity that was attached that shouldn't be, because it was part of the attachment of the alcoholism at that time. And so we would do that work, and there's these parts of us, kind of like your friend that you asked about, the person that was doing work, and I didn't necessarily go in. Now I went down a little bit lower and went into his higher self a little bit and asked some insight. And I want to finish that real quick, because there's something that if you can leave him a message again and say that I understand that there's been this miscommunication, misunderstanding, misalignment, whatever it is. I want to honor you. You have a lot of tools here and they're expensive. I will put them in a safe place. You come and get them in your own timing.
I'm going to do that. I'll do that right when we're done today. Yeah, because I know how I would feel if I was on the other side, because when you're just down at your lowest a little bit, it's just, you want to be in integrity, but it's got a little bit difficult.
And and it's hard to be vulnerable that way. It's so many of us want to be looking better than we are. And that whole scenario of him driving in and somebody calling, he may not even want to drive down your road again. Type of feeling, because of the way that he was in his own way bullied and shunned.
Yeah. Well, this motorhome was given to him by his mom and had been sitting in a field for 15 years, and it's goes down the road, like it's
Yeah.
going to fall over. And and that was interesting that night because he didn't have a tail light in one of the sides. I found a kid's box that was red, and we cut the top of the box off, and then we put his flashlight. We cut a hole in the top. We put a flashlight down in it, and then put that up so it looks like a red tail light. And then he had to turn it on and off with the flashlight. Uh, but I just felt sorry for him. But I know I can't. I can't go in and solve all of his problems for him, but I could
No,
do
and that's
I could do my little part to not
mhm.
make it worse for him.
No, and that's the thing is that, and he may take a little while to come and get it, but that's what I'm feeling like is that he just needs that opportunity that,
Yeah.
hey, your friend pulls in, hey, can we go get the tools real quick? Do you mind going with me? He runs up, grabs them, runs away, runs back, and and maybe if you want to put a little note on his tools, just say that, I pray that life can be better for you,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
That's what
something
he
like
needs to
that.
hear. He needs to
Yeah,
have somebody on his rooting side. You know.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm getting that there's a detachment that he's trying to get with those tools, so he may not come and get them, but at the same time it's one of those things. Or if you know where he's at, that you can go drop him off. If there's
Yeah.
no
No.
conversation,
Yeah. I would be happy to do that if but he's kind of being a nomad right now.
I hear you. I
Natasha,
hear.
I would just want to tell you too. I'm surprised just how right on you are about. We're talking all this highly spiritual and everything like that, but like when Patty was on last week, and she was really wanting to get some confirmation that her, getting buying a house on the ocean, a second place for us, would be the right thing. And when you got a good feeling about it, and she just said yes, yes, she knew. I'll tell you, she just almost exactly what you said was going to happen is in the process of happening now.
Oh, you're
I
kidding me!
am not kidding you. It's like she'll know in about an hour if we have it. She sent letters well, we went down there last weekend. No, I guess it's 2 weeks ago she was on. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. So last weekend we went down to this complex. She got the plans from the whole thing from the county. So she would know which ones were studios, which ones were 1 bedroom, which were 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. We went down there and found the ones and eliminated the ones she wouldn't be interested in because they're too far back or they're by the parking lot. She wanted one with a big ocean view.
Yeah,
You got to hear the ocean when you have the windows open and sit out on the little deck, and you got to have the ocean be right there.
yeah, I hear you.
Although she sent letters to everybody, ended up talking to a realtor who said, well, there might be one coming up, but I kind of have a buyer for it myself. So I probably, shouldn't tell you which one it was. Well, she figured it out by eliminating. He says, well, it was a 2 bedroom and it had to be one of three
And
things.
she's that kind of thinker.
Yeah. And then it came on the market. We went this Sunday to the open house, the first day that was on the market. Lots of people in there. And Sunday, lots of people in there. She made it's like $1 million, what was it? $1,200,000 for a little tiny 2 bedroom. It's like 800 square feet and it's $1.2 million, and it's a condo. Okay. The association dues are $1,000 a month just for the association dues. Anyway, she's in the middle of a bidding war right now. So it's already going. I think if she gets it, she'll have to bid about $100,000 over the asking price even. But she's saying, you know what, this has been my lifelong dream. I've got money saved up, and even though if it costs me a little bit a month, it's a place we can go to for 1 or 2 months a year and rent it out the rest of the year. And it could be, it's just been a dream of hers, So I said, you know what? All this money is just going to go to your kid when you go away. And so what if he has $1 million less, and we can start
Oh my
living
gosh.
life.
Yeah, because I didn't see the bidding war. I didn't see a lot of that. I saw actually her
But
slipping
you were saying it was just very thready. There was this led to that and everything. But she was doing everything that she could on her side, And so that's what I think, kind of
Oh,
made this happen.
congratulations.
So
Oh,
we don't know yet, we might have, if not, she's going to be really disappointed, but she'll know that
oh,
everything is
no. There's
always
another opportunity if this one doesn't come through.
okay.
Yeah,
That's
there's
good to
another
know.
opportunity. Yeah, there is
Okay.
another
I'll tell her that
opportunity.
too. So
Yeah.
anyway, and and then you talked to me about, I said, I just happened to mention to you, I'm looking for a van, and I've been looking all over for months. And you just said, are Arizona and Nevada kind of, next to each other or something? And I said, well, there's a place where they all meet. And I went back and looked in that place, and I bought the van, and they're putting an engine in it this week. And I'm going to go to Arizona in about 10 days and drive it back. So I'm just surprised at how in tune you are with just little things. That's just made me really a believer in mediums,
Well,
that way.
and but there's a difference between mediumship and intuitive mediumship and doing the work. There's a lot of mediums that are intuitive and we're all waking up, but their focus is mainly mediumship. Now, my characteristic is to be kind of like, what Claire do I not work with? Clairaudient, clairsentient.
Yeah.
I work with them all. And as I have trusted myself more, that intuitive part is stronger than my mediumship in some ways. Does that make
So,
sense?
yeah.
And
So
I only know what I get. So when
yeah.
when I get it, I say it, I trust it, and then I let it go. And then that's why I get so excited when I hear I'm right, because it's like,
Yeah. Well, I wanted to give you some feedback
yes.
because that was two home runs right there, And so you would call yourself more like an intuitive medium, or
That, and I do actually.
okay.
And one of my friends said, "Why don't you put one of those little squiggly half marks in, because it's intuitive
Yeah.
medium, because it's not intuitive medium, it's intuitive and a medium, but yet it's not intuitive. It's all politics. I'm just
Well,
me.
what I'm seeing is that the intuitive part, okay, medium, we can talk to relatives that have passed on and make sure everything's okay. But the other thing that we struggle with is what to do in life, how to make the right decisions. Am I doing this decision right or whatever? And so you being intuitive that way helps people, like I say, that's what an intuitive would make the perfect life coach,
Yes.
as far as, just how do I lead my life? Let's say, Natasha, I've got these two job opportunities. Which one do you think I'm more suited for? Or which one do I have a better chance of getting? And then kind of you giving them your 2 cents worth as far as what that might be. And that could really help people get through the roadblocks a little bit easier.
Exactly. Now, my team, my angelic team, will show you how to fish, metaphorically, how to walk your life to make these decisions, more than it will be a yes or no.
Yeah. Okay.
Because a lot of times, like I've had people in front of me that they go, I kind of mentioned some things that come to me right away, and I go, so you had a question? And they go, yes, but actually what you said answers this question, answers that question, and answers that question, because of the way that my team and I work together. And that's why I'm called a personal awareness coach, because I bring personal awareness to someone's life while I'm coaching them navigating their life.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I do that with my intuitive, and then mediumship. Mediumship can also include talking with guides, angels, that kind of, it's being I don't want to call it a channel, but a form of a channeling of hearing something on the other side.
Yeah.
That's got that has an energy form, let's say.
Yeah. Okay. If I was to ask you about a certain guide, I would just see if you get a hit on this. I've been a member of Ekankar, which is a spiritual teaching that kind of found me about 45 years ago. And it's kind of what led me to all this. It's kind of what helped me awaken. And they have a line of what they call Viragi masters, which are ascended masters that are there to kind of help. They give you spiritual exercises to do. And then a lot of times that ends up happening. You end up having out-of-body experiences or soul travel experiences, and you get teaching and all that. But the Mahanta, the the Mahanta is a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It embodies in different people, and this time around it's Sri Harold Klemp. And I wondered if you could get us any sense of him in of Harold Klemp, uh, Sri Harold Klemp, the Mahanta, and see if you get anybody, your guides up there that are aware of him, know of him.
He actually is laughing.
Who? Sri Harold?
Yeah. Because he says that who cares if I'm named this in this lifetime, that in that lifetime? I'm just he's a very spiritual being, but doesn't take life very serious.
Yeah, that would be him. He's got a really good sense of humor. Well, the
Yeah.
reason I'm asking too, because I've had other teachers, masters, like when I was on the other side, I saw Rebazar, I call him, and I didn't know if I just made him up because that's who I learned from Eck, and that's who I'd seen in other visions that I'd had over time. And so when I went to the other side, him and another Chinese guy named Late C, who I want to smile every time I think of him because he's so funny and so
exactly. You actually have a good team of hilarious guides.
Yeah.
You know, they're light and airy. They don't want to take life seriously. They say, why take it seriously? It's just here. It's just one of those scenarios that are going on. These guys actually work with you in many lifetimes. They actually were with you when you were a star up in the planets, and so you guys have been working together for quite a while.
Like Rebazar, and she's because of being an Ek, and that Sri Harold was the number one guy, the Mahanta that has the Mahanta consciousness. Sometimes I wondered why I didn't see him very often in my dreams, but it was always Rebazar and that. But just the other night, I was sitting down having a conversation with Sri Harold, and it was just pleasant. And then I wake up and I go, oh, why didn't I ask him some questions when I had him in there? But it was kind of rare. But every once in a while, he'll just kind of pop in. And for some of my clients, sometimes like they don't even know because I don't push any particular religion or my beliefs on anybody. But I'll have a client that's on the other side, doing this, thing, and all of a sudden they go, "Oh, here's this guy," and I say, "What does he look like?" And he'll start to explain to them, and then I'll show them a picture, and they go, "Oh my God, that's the guy that I just saw."
Yeah,
Yeah,
because and these guys actually are kind of your entourage. I'm going to call them. So like okay, so if somebody was doing like a public speech and you had somebody who would make sure you had your mic, your you had your food, you had your seat that you like, that the timing that you're supposed to be on, the other guy would make sure that your mic sounded right for you and that the energy was okay for you. Another guy kind of comes in and preps the audience. These guys are those types of guys.
Yeah.
So with that when you go in and do this work, they're readily there helping you.
Now, with Sri Harold, if he's still there, he's getting up in age right now, and I'm thinking it's not going to be too long before he passes, and this is all done on the inner planes somehow, where the next person gets this, what we call rod of power, or gets to carry on the thing. But I'm just curious if he's going to be with us much longer, or if it's going to be a short time and he's going to be passing it, or someone's going to be taking over for him.
Timing of someone's passing is always interesting. And when you talk about someone spiritual, now a lot of times when I'm looking at someone, how long they're going to live, is that there's a thread of life, a cord that we're attached to the spiritual world. And sometimes when that gets thinner, we know that someone's going to be passing soon. His is pretty thick so far because that's how he'll travel home.
Yeah.
So for me, his timing, he can go into meditation. He can go anytime he chooses. How long he stays is up to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't have a scenario. It's up to his body when it goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he's been the living Eck master for 40 years or something, a long time.
Mhm.
that way. And he's probably written about 40 books, on the subject. And he's just so down home. He was in the study to be a Lutheran minister at one time, and then something happened where this whole change happened, and he found out that he was supposed to take over.
Mhm.
Not going Lutheran, but to take over the leadership of Eckankar. So yeah, it's the only religion I found. I just say it's like if you took all the religions in the world, put them in a bag, and shook it up. That's kind of the act. It's like God is everywhere, in everything, in
Mhm.
everything, and that's what led me to do the work that I'm doing.
Oh,
So
cool.
okay.
Well, cool.
Well, thanks
Well,
for doing that. And I just wondered maybe if you ask more thing, it's like, is there just a reason that I only see him every once in a while, or can he start to? What would he be willing to show up a
he's
little
there.
bit more?
They're there all the time.
Maybe I'm just not aware of it.
Yeah, it's like me sitting down to meditate and have a conversation. They're here.
Yeah,
It's kind of like we get used to our best friend hanging around, and so we don't talk to him as much.
yeah,
Does that make sense? That
yeah,
and that's where they're at is that they're there if you want to talk to them. It's just you spending the time talking with them.
yeah. Okay, all
So
right. That's cool.
Susan had a conversation when we were talking about the twin flame, and we got off onto something else, and
Okay,
I wanted to go with it. So, in my understanding, a twin flame is that they don't have to be another people, but is truly another part of ourselves that we're wanting to integrate, which may be another person.
yeah, okay. I understand that viewpoint. I mean, but what we find out when we do the life between life is we do have a higher self, which is a part of ourself. That, in other words, when souls decide to come down and reincarnate, they decide how much of themselves they're going to put in the body, but they always keep part of themselves there. So maybe that people here are sensing that there's more to themselves than what they have, and they're looking for it in another person when actually they're whole in themselves already. If they just allow themselves to start, in other words, integrating or being aware that the other part of themselves is, in a sense, just right next to them, right here,
Hmm.
in
Well,
the other side.
yeah, and I have an understanding that a twin flame is many times that a soul can be split into two people.
Yeah,
Like I've known some twins that one soul got split between these two twins because each twin was going to have a experience, and so they were kind of the twin flames.
yeah.
If
Then
that makes sense.
I would say that in that scenario, we're actually triplet flames, because even if you split off and there's two bodies here, you've still got your higher self up there that's operating, that's there and
And,
operating two different
and,
bodies.
and connecting here now, like my one of I know someone who has a twin soul in them, and they actually were quite male at the beginning, and now they're turning female, so that they're living each other's they're living. Now I have an understanding my soul has male and female in it. That's why both our sides of our face aren't the same,
Yeah,
because we have one side that's one and one the other. And so we have the male female, but a lot of people don't realize these all parts of them, and it is part of ourselves. Yet at the same time, though, that part, how many of us leave ourselves with other people? I
how
give you
many
my
of us?
heart, I give you my soul, I give you,
uh,
I give you, I give you, I give you. And many of us, let's say, uh like the people who did, like with Dahmer, the one that or a lot
Jeffrey
of these,
Dahmer?
yeah, or a
Mm,
lot of these people who they just kind of totally give themselves over to someone else, and they actually give them, in a way, a part of their soul, and they have to grab it back if they want,
yeah,
because we as people tend to leave energy where we've been. Sometimes that has a little, nuggets of our soul. So with that twin flame is something. Now, people now have language for one thing and language for something else. Like I know that a lot of people are finding that they have a guide with Loki. That they call it Loki. Now, if you go to the Native American, they'll call that energy coyote.
Hmm.
Because Loki is coyote in a different language, just like Mother Mary is Mother Mary, and she's white calf buffalo woman. And in another area, she's somebody else, and somebody else. I don't have the language for those names in my head at this second in time. So with that we have these energies that have different names, and they could be twin souls, just in different energies.
Yeah.
Loki and coyote.
So
Does that make sense?
yeah, you believe it's possible sometimes for a person to be having, can one body inhabit two different souls? In other words, so you actually have two,
Yes.
yeah.
That's why there are some people with true identity where
Yeah.
they switch personalities, because of the fact that now some of them have been traumatized, so their brain has compartmentalized
Yeah.
their
So
life.
they're just what we
There's
call
some
multiple
soul,
personality disorder.
yeah, but there's some that are brought in with two souls
Okay.
or three souls. Now, I can't. That's not
That could be
that's
really
not
confusing for the person.
exactly. And so with that I'm not going to go in and label this as a norm. It's not a norm. Most bodies have
Yeah.
souls, and then like every time that I go through a life experience, I'm coming home because my soul is coming back to being my greater self. So with that as we're walking through life and doing life, now a twin soul or a twin, where you think that, oh, I got a soulmate. There's the word I was looking for. We have a soulmate. Well, yeah, we have soulmates, but our soulmates aren't always our gift. Sometimes they're the challenge that is going to wake us up. And
Yeah.
sometimes our soulmates are someone like I have my dad was my soulmate.
Yeah. In the research
Because
shows that we've done. Yeah.
yeah, that we would finish each other's sentences. We would finish. Now, my husband and I, we have soul connection. Being, I kind of picture, and I've said this before. This came to me just this last year of soul families are like rings of a tree.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, and so I know that certain souls of mine, come in, and that's where soul mates are, in that very, very center of that tree, where it's like it's you can't get any further apart.
Right.
And so with that those are soulmates, and you can have more than one. We
Yeah.
can have more than one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think the main reason the main thing people get from all this is the fact that there are people that are in your lives that are in there for a reason, and there are people that you feel close to for a reason, and they're in your life to help you teach them something and them to teach you something. Generally, so just enjoy these people, whether they're your nemesis or they're close to you, because they're all part of your play, and they're all part of that's going to help make this a really interesting read for a play for someone to watch.
Exactly.
And yeah, and some people are backstage right now that are going to come out in your next chapter or the next act of your play. Some people have already left the stage and it'll never be back on stage again. And some people are going to be in your stage the rest of your life.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. It's
this,
just we never know. We
yeah,
never know truly why somebody is in our life, really until the very end, but we can get glimpses of it.
yeah,
Like I know why my husband's been in my life. We were supposed to cut the contract to what we've been doing the last many lifetimes so we've been together.
yeah.
And this was our lifetime to say we're done. We're creating a new story. So Sue has commented a couple things here. So so the twin flame, I brought it up because during a healing session after healing shift occurred, I heard a phrase, twin flame, come to me, as in I healed another part of myself. Yes.
Very interesting.
Yeah, well, I know that, and I'm going to speak a little bit boldly here, just because you've mentioned this, Sue, online about you going through some major trauma in your life, and I'm not going to name it, but and when we go through major trauma, there is a part of ourself that says, "Hell, fucking no." I'm not going to be a part of this. I don't be witness of it. And we leave it there. It detaches from us. But when we go through and we say, I want to heal that part of me, that part of us comes back and says, thank you. I'm home again. And some people call it a soul retrieval. Some people call it, gaining a part of ourselves, whatever the language is, twin flame, whatever that language is, it's about coming back to being more of a whole self than us.
Yeah. Yeah. To uncovering more of who we are, or integrating more with our true self.
Exactly. And I can almost say that there's been two different parts of my life. Before my mom and my dad passed away, I was so shy and quiet. I would go into a party and wouldn't want to speak. When I was in class, I got an F in class because I didn't want to go up and stand in front of people to talk about something that I knew. I was so shy. Not quite there anymore, am I?
No, you conquered that one.
I conquered that one, but it took a big part of me. It was almost where, like my husband says, you're not the same woman I married. Because I brought that part of me and said, we are together now.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So Susan asked a question here. Do you see my son moving forward in life in the next few months? Or does he need more of a push? I've been laying off since late July or August.
Yeah. That's a question that many moms are thinking about their kids right now.
Yes, and many parents are dealing with our children being, I don't want to call it delayed, energetically challenged to be out in the outer world. And navigating that is not always easy because it is safe at home. We've created that safety at home, even though we still have to do it. So, Susan, I'm proud of you for laying off. Because many times when we push something, add focus to it, it can become worse. And there can be fights. What I'm getting is that keep going with where you're at, laying off. Yet at the same time, though, start and coming through the back door with saying, hey, come with me. Let's go do ... And then on the way, you go, oh, I forgot. I need to stop into a big grocery store, let's say. Come with me. I need help. So they learn how to energetically get moved in, because they know if you were to do that, if you were going to go into that grocery store, he probably would get all angst up, right? And so with that, doing this kind of the back door. Now, don't do this every time, because then he's going to learn that, that you're going to do this. But there's that challenge of getting him out and more comfortable. And, or like when you're driving by apartments, I used to live in a place like that. What do you think if you were to live in a place like that? Even though you wouldn't have lived in a place like that. Ask those questions to get the mind stirring, and you're just driving by. So it's just one of those flyby questions. It's not necessarily that you put any attention into it. You don't necessarily want an answer from it. You just start planting seeds. You start planting seeds of growth, yet you have no intention of stirring them, pushing them out. Now, there's going to be a time, though, where it would be healthy for you to say, kid, you're at this age, you have so much time to get out. Because of the fact that you've gotten that muscle stronger, you have more ability to say that moment.
Yeah.
And there is going to be those, and I know that you're sometimes the dad in the family because of your strength. And so sometimes you're going to have to say, there is a job that needs to be done here. You need to get a job because of the fact that, does need to happen. And so with that there's this practice of doing better. And my love is with you through this dance of a child growing, a child growing. And I know for me that my child did not move out of the house until about 22, 21, 22, because of the fact that healing needed to happen in the house. But I'm going to tell you though, when that healing was done between our family, and part of it was the alcoholism years, that as soon as that healing was done, my child left. It was like the door got open energetically. The door got, so with that, that many times when we plant those seeds and navigate through and doing the work that we're supposed to be doing and not giving it any push.
Yeah.
Not giving it any push. It's amazing where life goes. I was pulling a card, and sorry, Regan, I'm going to take over here for a few minutes.
That's good.
That I got this card, and I got told I need to read it for everyone, and it's called Ghostlands. Okay.
Ghostland.
Ghostland. Yeah, the card is Ghostland.
Okay.
And I'm going to read number 17 because I really feel like that this is where a lot of people are at. That makes sense. Okay, so Ghostland. You now remember, I'm just let me let me start. You can learn from the past and you can imagine a beautiful future, but you must live in the here and now. So the card was reversed, which is upside down. Okay. Oh. Actually, I'm told to read the whole statement, so I apologize. Okay, so upright. So if the card was upright, okay. Whenever you set your sights too far ahead, you run into the risk of losing your footing. For rarely do the present and the future match up exactly on the enchanted map that is your life story. The future has no substance right now. It is a place that has no grounding as of yet. You cannot live there, yet you can take measured steps toward the goal or dream. These steps are important now. The same goes for nostalgia. You can look into the past wisely and remember the beautiful moments or revisit the lessons learned. However, you cannot live there, nor can you go back and change what it was. Yesterday is gone forever. Live fully in the present and now is most powerful place to put your attention. Its magic reaches out in every direction, further than the heart and soul can see. So now when I pulled the card, it was upside down. When the Ghostland card appears reverse, it is a sign that you are wandering in an emotional and intellectual place with no real substance. There is no point longing for which has already gone or hasn't happened yet. Perhaps you've created a fantasy of good old days or some elusive utopia destination that lies somewhere in the future when this or that happens to make things better. Live one day at a time. Each day is new beginning fulfilled with truth and beauty. Stay away from the ghostlands of the past and the future. Avoid nostalgia and longing for something better. Find joy in what is present in your life today. We've all wanted life to be different. We all want life to go forward. And as we go forth in life, living in this moment. So with that, like with Sue, let's see. Thanks a lot is what she said. And then I just want to put in more than one job application at this point. Yes, and I agree. So it's setting personal goals for both of you. Hey, why don't we next month put in 2? That's our goal. Who's to say? One may only read it. So putting in the 2 means only one will read it.
I heard, yeah, and I heard this saying, I don't have it exact, but it was the smallest step may turn into the biggest event of your life. In other
Mm-hmm.
words, the smallest step forward. So, what I think what us parents have to do with the 20-something-year-olds that are not out of the nest yet is to, uh, you know, in a loving way, just talk to them uh, and just say, look, and I know that there's a point where you have to leave the nest here, and I'm here to support you. But what I want to do, I say, I'm here to help you if you need to identify what the next small step or big step it is you need to take. I'm here to, help you identify that, and then it's going to be up to you to take those steps. So let's set a time frame here. Let's say 3 months, 6 months, or something, and within that time, you need to, find a job, find a place to stay, and there's steps that you have to do. And if you get stuck because you're young and you haven't done this before, whereas us old people have done it many times, I'm here to help you, to motivate you, or to, if there's some way I can help you or support you to take that next step. But we got to get you out of here so you can have your own exciting life.
Mm-hmm. And it's not today. We're talking about the future. And I know from like my child, I had a conversation with my child last night, and she says, I just need a plan. Even if that plan changes, I have more anxiety not having the plan than I do having the plan that changes. And that's part of it's many of us have been practiced that it's easier just not to deal with it. If I don't see it, I don't know it. And yet, is that healthy for us to navigate? And many of our children have anxiety, and the anxiety goes from nothing to 600 in no time.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to get it from going to 0 to 100 is by practicing. And the only way we can get it to go from 0 to 50 is by practicing. And that's the tool that life has to teach our kids. And that's where us having parents or being parents are using those tools. I know that for my child who had great anxiety for driving, still doesn't, by the way, but I would take my child to a very quiet parking lot, a very off-road place, and let him drive where he didn't feel like he had the energies coming at him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, right or wrong, in or out, it all happens. But yet at the same time, though, I challenged that at that time, and it was up to him to go through the door. Now, did that make him stop doing other things? No. But yet at the same time, though, he had to learn to navigate through some of those angst. And so I just wanted to put, one more job at a time. Okay. And then she said this. Thanks, Regan.
Oh, good. That's great. Yeah. Just got to come up with the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And then, young people, we take for granted that they should know better. But when we put ourselves back on their place, there's so many things we didn't know when we were that age. We didn't know about how to keep an orderly house, how to not have everything messy. It's something you have to learn to have those skills to, and ways of organizing things. It's so they need some help. So it's good that he's seeing a therapist and they come up with a plan. And but the main thing is that I think just lovingly the child needs to know that there is an end time. If things aren't done at a certain time, I got to kick you out, not because I don't love you, because I know you'll never experience life the way you're supposed to unless you get out there and do it.
Exactly.
So let's just, so that there's no hard feelings or anything here. And we're giving you plenty of time. You've got a therapist you're going through. And I would love it if you would share the plan with me so I can see, and that I can see when you're moving forward so that I feel good about you. So I'm not in a way so that I can feel good that that you are moving forward in a certain way. And
exactly.
if you get stuck sometimes, I might have to be a tough mom and kind of kick you in the butt a little bit to move you forward. But it's because I love you, and my job is to help you grow and to help you get out there to have your life.
Yeah. Because I told my kids several times, my job wasn't to keep you young.
Right.
My job was to get you to parenthood, or to adulthood, which means that you move forward. And
Hmm.
some kids, they do need to move out at 18. Some kids need to move out at 20. Some kids need to move out at 22. Now, 23, I'm hearing that 23, Susan, you got it. It's either that's the deadline. That's the drawing in the sand. And I know that he's just, graduated, and he's still got some time. And I was just having a conversation with a young one, and she's going to be moving to Texas. And like her mom said, that, being through those ages of teenagehood to like 22, 23, it's the hardest because you just don't know how to do things. You want these goals, you see these goals, but you just don't know how to get them. And like I said, so many of our kids have anxiety that is like over the top. And these energies right now, how can they see a future when it's so expensive to move out?
Yeah.
But it's planting those seeds and moving forward. Planting those seeds and moving forward.
I mean, here in California, it's so crazy. Like that condo that looks like Patty may have by tonight. For someone to live there, that will rent out for about $8,000 a month, a little 2-bedroom condo on the beach, and that's what everybody in there is renting them for right now. And that's just, of course, because it's right on the beach and it's in Monterey. But like, how did we ever get to that point? Can you imagine how much just for your rent that would be, paying. But apparently there's enough people in the world that, all the other condos there are booked sometimes up for 6 months or a year ahead with Airbnb for that much a month, So, but well, we paid, just to go down there, we paid $400 for a medium little motel just to stay there on Saturday night in Monterey, $400 a night. And I went, oh my God, that's a brand. I'd rather sleep in my car and then go and buy another $400 TV the next day.
Oh,
Or,
I know. Oh my gosh.
just for sleeping, so, but, I'm an old guy and I got to come up to it's not, when I used to go to the movies, I used to get it Saturdays, we'd go to two movies for 50 cents, and, 25-cent popcorn or 10-cent popcorn, so sound like my dad talking now when he had nickel hamburgers.
I hear ya. Oh, I know.
Now they're
So
like
Regan,
22
we
bucks.
are at almost
Oh my gosh, we
15
went over,
after.
didn't we?
Yeah, but that's okay, because I
All
think
right.
that these conversations we've had, giving the opportunity and I'm grateful for those who came over from Facebook to, I got a chance to post that we would be here. So I'm grateful that you guys came over and visited us here on YouTube. So when we're going through life and managing life, you never know what can happen the next moment. I'm seeing miracles every day, just like you, Regan, even though you
Yeah,
got the black eye to show that you had a miracle.
yeah. Well, maybe by next week I'll be able to tell you if they found out if I do have this little aneurysm or something going, and what's the deal,
Yeah, because
so,
I see a little spot, but it's not. It's something. It's a sleeper. Does that make
yeah.
sense? It's a sleeper, but yet at the same time, though, you don't want to stress out. You don't want to do those things that would
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good
create.
about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just something they'll keep an eye on, probably if I go in every year and they'll take another look at it and see if it's anything to worry about. But the other thing that was interesting is I thought, okay, if I hadn't seen that and was unaware of it, let's say that that's the way that eventually I'm going to be taken out, I go back home,
Mhm.
then it's, in a way, it's kind of beautiful. In a way, it's like, okay, I'm seeing it and it's like this little thing and it's preparing, and
It
eventually,
goes light switch off.
boom, and then off I go. And I go, wow, that means that, because I know some people have the aneurysms, they just go immediately. And I go,
Uh-huh.
instead of having cancer and being sick for,
For years
years
and
and
years.
that sort of thing. So it's just interesting.
I find it interesting too.
Yeah.
I do. I really find it interesting too. So Regan,
All
how
right.
can people get a hold of you?
Okay. It's right there on the screen. Visit theafterlife.com. I know a lot of the listeners have been there already. Some great videos on there that talk about past life regression. There's a video on there of a young lady going through the life between life session. And you see the whole thing where she goes through a past life, and then from there goes on to the afterlife, and where she spends a good amount of time there, visiting a soul group, going before a council, getting questions answered in her life, and just to let people know that we're in a new world right now. And like I say, mediums are becoming more and more in the mainstream, just like we are and what we do, and that it's now possible. You don't have to wait till you die to visit heaven. You can visit there. You're going to find out that you got a gang of helpers that are here to kind of help you with the rest of your life. And I'm just here to, for anybody who wants to have that experience, to visit there for a few hours, get a bigger perspective of your life, and come back and start living life with a little more purpose and meaning. It's a life-changing experience, life-altering for so many people. And I love to do it. It's just great. So anyway, visit theafterlife.com. What about you, Mrs. Natasha?
You can reach me at angelicclarifications.com. And, I'm so grateful to be able to be supporting those around me and, talking. There's so many. I just had someone today that this weekend lost a father. And she reached out, hey, if you hear from him, can you let me know? And I'm grateful to be that person, to give grace and give experiences of that it is a loving moment for someone to be on the other side. With that, please reach out if you need some support in doing life in general, emotions and struggles and doing life oh God, there's so many triggers we're getting right now. Blessings to you, Natasha Venter, angelicclarifications.com. And please share or like or subscribe to the YouTube page or whatever you can do to support this bigger picture, because Regan and I are enjoying being here, but it takes you to listen so that we can give the experiences to help your life do what you need to do and
thanks
to do
for
and
chiming in.
grace to do.
Susan, thanks for chiming in today. It's always nice to have you.
Thank you. Maybe we should have you on one of these days.
That would be nice. I would like to meet her that way.
Yeah, we'll Sue and I will talk about it.
Okay.
Maybe we'll set it up in the next week or two. Okay.
All right. That'd be awesome.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you all. Bye, everyone.
4:00 Pacific time.
Definitely. We're here. And Wednesday, I'll be here too on YouTube and Facebook with my Life Clarifications with Natasha.